I'm Sarah. I'm going to talk about food on the trail, breakfast and lunch. I have some different styles here, and you need to think about your style and kind of what's happening that morning, whether your group is trying to get a fast start out of camp or whether maybe it's a layover day and you have more time. But let's talk about some of these things. These are some of the foods that I eat, and I'll give you some examples. So first is my cook gear, what I bring. I have my Jetboil stove, and then I also have a GSI bowl set that fits together nicely with a lid. And I bring a long-handled spoon so that if I have to stir in things in a Ziploc, I don't get my hand all dirty. And then the other thing I like to bring, especially on a long trip, is this is like a 7-day trip, and I bring a menu with me that I make up at home, and so I know exactly what I'm supposed to eat each day, and I only bring exactly the food that's on this menu. So I don't bring a whole block of cheese. I bring exactly the amount of cheese that I need. So this helps make sure that I have a steady source of food through the week. So that's my cook gear. An idea for you is the cold soak breakfast. That's to put together when you're home. This is an oatmeal cold soak. It's got chia seeds, vanilla powder, Nitto full fat dried milk, dried cherries, walnuts, salt. So you bring this with you, and then the night before, bring a container and put your dried things in there, and this is with a cup of water, and it just soaks overnight, and so you don't cook the oatmeal. It just absorbs the moisture during the night, and it's ready to eat in the morning. So this is a great way to have a quick breakfast in the morning with no stove. This is another no stove type of idea. I'd call it like it's fast. You're not cooking, but this isn't a soaking thing. This would be like granola with, again, the Nitto full fat milk. I also have a side of dried blueberries that make that extra tasty. You can eat Pop-Tarts if you're a Pop-Tart person, or like a bagel with the Justin's almond or peanut butters. These are really handy. You can also have like a protein drink, and just mix that up in a bottle, and then you can even have this. All of these things too, you can either eat at camp, or you can also eat them on the trail as you're going. You can pack up camp and eat all this on the go. If you're like caffeine, but you're not making hot coffee that morning, chocolate covered espresso beans. A lot of people use this for their caffeine alternative. If you've got more time, and this is what most people do on the Mountaineers B3 type trips, is to have some hot water. They're not cooking, but they have hot water. Some people bring the instant kind of Mountain House. These you take the absorber packet out first. Don't forget that. You put the hot water in there, and then it tells you in the directions how long that it sits. It's usually 10 to 12 minutes. These can vary in taste. I usually, a lot of times, will have an oatmeal packet, and I will also supplement that, because this is just, a lot of carbs. But if you put in a Justin's nut butter with these, that really increases the power. I also have, you can put in, this is my pecan, so you can put in real nuts, and I've got coconut, which is a great power food, and then also I bring Via coffees, and I bring some cocoa, so I kind of make a mocha in the morning. So then this way you don't have to deal with, all the whole coffee setup. So that's some ideas for a hot water type of breakfast. This is more of a cooking breakfast that you could use like on a layover day, or if you have a group that doesn't have to get out of camp early. That would involve, I usually have a bread type product. So that would be, in here I have a tortilla, an English muffin, and like a piece of naan bread. Any one of those types of things would work. But I like to have some type of bread type product with my eggs. And then you can have 2 different types of eggs that I know. You can bring, real eggs if it's a short trip. Or these Ova Easy egg crystals. These are like freeze-dried eggs, and they cook up really well. You can hardly tell the difference, or you can't tell the difference between this and a real egg. But then there's the question of how to cook them. So you can either bring a little pan that you can use over your stove, or you can also like mix up the Over Easy eggs, or put the eggs into a freezer bag. You can't use the regular storage. You have to get the thicker side freezer bag so that it doesn't melt on you. And you can put your egg mixture with water in there, and then you can actually put this down inside your jet boil and cook it in the jet boil. And then there's no, you can eat it right out of the bag, and there's no mess, and there's no pan to clean up, and it just goes into your garbage pile, and that's just really easy. But you can do the fry thing if you want. And then the other thing is for eggs is you want to boost the power of them. So you can do that by adding a cheese to your eggs. You can get shelf-stable bacon. And then if you have a tortilla, you could make like a wrap with all of that. Or you can put in things like these crispy fried onions. All of these things add a lot of flavor and good calories for on the trail. So those are some ideas for breakfast. And now we're going to go over and take a look at lunch. So, easy from home. Make sure you don't get stressed out about your food on your first trips. Just do easy things that you like to eat. Definitely that you like to eat, because the worst thing you could do is bring a bunch of things that you just carry out because you don't like them or you bring too much. So something that's really easy is this kind of signifies my leftovers. Just bring leftovers. If you're only on an overnight trip, you don't need to refrigerate it if you're gonna, have it for lunch that day or even the next day. A lot of things are gonna be fine. You can bring, on a short trip, it's heavy, but if you're only out for, 24 hours, bring fresh fruit. It's not that heavy. You can also get a sandwich from home, or you can get, any type of sandwich from a grocery store. Any of that's just fine. And it's easy, and it's fast. You can even get it on the way to the trailhead. Another idea is that you want to have easy and fast foods that you can eat on the trail. So again, I have kind of like what I like for lunch is I eat a lot of tortillas, but I can also have naan bread, bagel, or crackers. So I bring one of those four things. The longer the trip, the drier the product. So in this order of things, I'd eat the bagels first, then I'd probably eat the naan. Then on about day 7, you move to the tortillas, and then by about, into the day 10, you're probably back down to you're having crackers. So on a short trip though, you can have anything you want. So with that bread product, here's some ideas. Here again is the Justin's nut butters. That can go on any of these things. Along with the Justin nut butters, I would have like pecans and raisins, those 3 things together, like in a bagel or wrapped up in a tortilla, very tasty. On a shorter trip, you can do, I really like cream cheese and the dried cherries. These are really good together, like on a bagel or in one of these other products. I've got a can of pinto beans here, but my grocery store on Whidbey Island doesn't have them, but you can, in the city stores, in the bins, you can buy a dried pinto beans and black beans, kind of like a powder that you can just add water to, even cold water. And so if in the middle of the morning, you can put your beans in a baggie with some water, and then at lunch, they're ready to eat. So to enhance those beans, you can bring cheese to put with it, like with one of these things. And then another one of my favorite things is the sour cream powder. Sour cream powder with beans, or in a lot of the dinner products that Cheryl will talk about. This stuff is great. Makes everything taste fantastic. So there's the beans, and then you can also get dried hummus at the grocery store. This isn't dried, but it's what I've got to show you. So hummus with olive oil, this, the beans don't have a lot of calories either, but supplementing it with olive oil, some drops of olive oil, like a tablespoon or two in with your beans and your hummus really adds to the power of the food. And then to enhance your hummus flavor, sometimes I bring some lemonade and just sprinkle a little bit in there to give it some lemon taste. You can also use like onion powder or paprika, any of these spices to make your hummus, more interesting on the trail. Okay, and then along with kind of that bread product thing with its toppings, I bring snacks. So here's some ideas for snacks. These are the Harvest Snap peas that you can get at a grocery store. Sesame sticks are very high in fat and calorie and are a great snack on the trail, and they're a little bit salty. Make sure you don't just bring everything that's sweet because you'll get tired of sweet things. Try and have a balance of the sweet and the savory. So these are savory things. Cheese works great on the trail. The softer cheese you should eat, earlier on a trip. You can go to harder cheeses and Parmesan, in a second week, if your trip's 2 weeks. But on a short trip, you can have basically any cheese you want. And these little Tillamook packages are handy because, you can just open them up, eat them, and then put them away. There's no mess. Nuts are fantastic. They have a lot of power in them. I like cashews on the trail. Then snack bars or, your own mix of Gort or a store Gort work fine. Also, some dried fruit. It can be a little heavy, but it's really tasty and it varies with the menu. And then also like dried meats. This is a Landjager Hempler product, really tasty. So these are just some ideas. Lots of things will work. And when you go into a grocery store with the backpack trip in mind, you kind of look at the grocery store differently, and your radar's kind of up for these types of foods, and you'll find things that you like to eat. And also how much to bring. That's an experience thing. Okay, the last idea is to do a cold soak lunch that you would need to put together at breakfast, but it's like the oatmeal that we talked about earlier. But you can cold soak instant rice, which takes about 90 minutes. You can do couscous or ramen. That takes about 60 minutes. And again, you don't cook it. You just crumble it on in here and put the water in just a little bit above the level of the product. And then you can add all sorts of things to these bases, raisins and just all sorts of stuff to make it more interesting. So you can cold soak a lunch. The last thing I wanted to mention is that a lot of people will need electrolytes. And my family, we use these quite often, especially when it's a warmer day. You can be doing everything right with drinking a lot of water and eating often and all that, but sometimes you're just low on electrolytes. So make sure somebody in your group has some type of electrolyte, and it can really, when you start to bonk, this can really make the difference. Okay, so for a quick review, we talked about different styles of breakfast, and it depends on the type of trip you're on and what you like to eat. And we looked at different styles of lunch, and don't forget about the electrolytes. So thanks very much, and we'll see you on the trail.